Decisions made by city councils are where to put stuff. Think of the recent debate in Sudbury over the location of the School of Architecture, or in years past, the new hospital, or even Laurentian University. Well, now there is a push on City Council to reconsider a decision made some 20 years ago, building a transit terminal downtown. And here to tell us more about it, CBC reporter Eric White. Good morning, Eric.
Good morning, Marcus.
So who wants the city to move the transit terminal?
Several people do, but in this case, we're talking about the Downtown Sudbury Association. I met the group's chair, Jeff McIntyre, down at the terminal the other day.
I look at it, and I look at a lot of cost. I look at a lot of extra staffing that's needed just for it to exist, and it doesn't move a single person. Really strong transit means a really good downtown. And having this transit terminal means less buses that we can have on the road, less bus drivers we can have driving buses. We used to have the buses just stop, drop people off, work pretty effectively, and there was the added bonus of that many more people on the street utilizing downtown businesses, stopping for a coffee, stopping for a bite, and we don't see that anymore because you've kind of got this walled garden.
So if there wasn't a transit terminal on the land, what would go there?
I'm sure there are many people in Sudbury who would be interested in that property. It is definitely a prime downtown site.
Busy intersection.
Definitely, yeah. But I did ask Jeff McIntyre from the Downtown Association about that, and here is what he told me.
I think that's up for grabs, right? It's a great location that could make sense for a private-public partnership. There's lots of things in the master plan that, could use that kind of footprint, everything from an art gallery to the French Art Center as well.
So the Downtown Association wants the terminal to be terminated. What does the city say about that?
Well, the idea is being considered by staff and will likely be part of the transit master plan the city is planning to do. Although that study isn't officially underway yet, that won't happen until the transportation master plan is finalized later this year.
So transportation, then transit.
Then transit, yes. But Mayor Brian Bigger is interested in the idea as well. Here's what he said in his State of the City address in June.
My vision includes activation of the downtown master plan and transit hubs as a solution to some of the issues we face downtown. And what would happen if we looked at new options for the transit terminal downtown?
I wonder if one of those options might be no terminal. And I wonder what transit riders would feel about not having a terminal downtown.
Well, there has been much debate about the Sudbury transit system in general in recent years and how to improve it. And there are many who feel the one terminal system doesn't really work, where all the buses go downtown, and would like to have some other hubs out in the city, maybe in the South End, or a lot of people have talked about the new Sudbury Shopping Center as an obvious place for one. I spoke with Charles Tassell about this idea of scrapping the bus station. He is a member of the Friends of Greater Sudbury Transit and a lifelong transit rider in Sudbury. He remembers the days before the terminals when buses would line up on downtown streets and just pick people up at sort of bus shelters, and he doesn't remember them that fondly.
I'm against having the terminal gone only because of how during winter, it's like a shelter for us in the terminal. Minus 40 degrees Celsius, where would you want to go while waiting for a bus if there is no terminal? Every now and then there's incidents here at our present terminal, and the security guards are there to deal with it, and happens a lot. I know some people don't feel comfortable coming downtown for that reason. They don't like hanging around with a bunch of senseless people, I should say. I've come to think that there's ways around to dealing with it.
Tassell mentioning there's some of the security concerns that people have had about the downtown transit terminal, especially as that area with the LCBO and Tim Hortons nearby is often you see sort of large crowds of people loitering and lots of security guards keeping an eye on them. And you hear many in Sudbury seeing that sort of whole corner of Paris, Elm, and Cedar as kind of a problem area of the downtown.
Well, what was it before there was that bus station and that LCBO and Tim Hortons? I remember they were just being built when I moved to town 20 years ago.
So that whole block was the downtown Canadian Tire store for many years, sort of an old-fashioned hardware store. Department store had like lines of bicycles up front, and you drove over a bell that rung as you drove into the parking lot. So it's a very sort of old-fashioned store that was there until about the mid-90s when the South End store was built. And this was one of those big decisions for City Council, what to do with this prime piece of real estate downtown. It's interesting that the Downtown Association now would like to see some some kind of private development, because that is what was pitched 20 years ago. A group of local developers had a plan called Paris Park, and you can see what it would have looked like right now on our website, cbc.ca/Sudbury. It was supposed to be an office and condominium complex plus the new home of the main branch of the public library. So really that would have been the city's first public-private partnership, plus a large parking area that was going to be leased out to the provincial government offices across the street. That was really going to help bankroll this plan. The plan got initial support from council, but they eventually got cold feet and built the transit terminal on the site for about $5 million instead. Maurice Lamoureux was on city council at that time, and here's what he remembers about that decision.
The city was really reluctant to put all that kind of money in at the time, and there wasn't any other good proposals that would really have used up the space. I think but since then, if you look back, 20 years later, we look back, and whatever we did then, it worked at the time with very little city money put in the deal. I think the decision that we made 20 years ago, it took very little city money except what we did for the bus terminal, and I think that worked out as well. So I would think that, looking back, it was a good decision for the times.
And whatever this city council decides to do with the transit terminal could be undone by future councils as well.
The times are always changing, aren't they?
That's right.
Eric, thanks so much.
Thank you.
The CBC's Eric White. I'd like to hear from you. Should the city move the transit terminal out of downtown Sudbury? Do we need a terminal at all? What would you build on that corner? Maybe you're an architecture student from Laurentian University and you've got some ideas. Would redesigning the transit system get more people riding the bus? Whatever you have to say it on Talkback. You can call toll-free 1-800-461-1138.